We're making a roast cauliflower, smoked paprika, and cheddar frittata. And I'm gonna make a really mini version of this, but you can kind of make this as big or small as you want. When I say mini, enough for one kind of size. So to start with, I've got the cauliflower just cut into florets. You could also exchange the cauliflower out for broccoli if you wanted to do something a little different. And just kind of drizzle over about a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil. You don't need to go crazy with that at all. A little bit of pepper. And then toss that together. And then pop that onto a lined baking tray. And we'll cook that in a preheated oven on about 180 degrees for 10 to 20 minutes or until it gets nice and kind of charred and crispy. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. This cauliflower is nice and browned up. It's been cooking just for about 15 minutes. And if I pop a knife into the middle, it's just cooked. But what I'm really looking for are these kind of really dark, almost burnt bits. So I'm going to take, let's have a look, about kind of, let's really live on the edge and take about 6 bits. And then we can start to get some ingredients into here. So I've got this kind of smoky cheese. You guys could use Parmesan, you could use cheddar or whatever cheese you want to use, really. I'm going to put a good amount of that into there. Straight over the top. I'm going to grab some parsley. Just kind of rip a little bit off in your hand. You can bunch it up. And this is where, with your right hand, you take a cook's knife and just roughly chop it. You don't need to go berserk and really finely chop it or anything. And then into here, for a small frittata, we'll put about 3 eggs. I don't want it to be really kind of eggy. I want it to be mainly cauliflower, and the eggs are really just binding it together. One more. Okay. A little bit of milk. And then we can pop some of this parsley into there. The parsley for me, with that really smoky cheese and the paprika, which is also smoky, just kind of lightens it and gives it a little bit of a zinginess to it. So now just really carefully kind of fold all this together. Might go actually some of this whole grain mustard in there as well. A little bit of a teaspoon of that. So with your fork, just whisk that together, make sure everything's really well combined, and then we can pour it straight in. I might actually pop the cauliflower in first. Then we can pour this egg over the top. My God, I managed to get the quantities almost exactly right by eye. I thought it was gonna almost overflow, which is why I was holding back a little bit. But now that we're clear, we can put all this in there. So make sure you get all that cheese and everything. And obviously with the parsley, you could switch that out for basil if you wanted. Tarragon would work really nicely with that too. And then so when you get to here, just have a little bit of a manipulate and just make sure all the cauliflower is kind of spread out as evenly as possible. You don't have it all down one end, kind of bunched together. And then we'll cook this in the oven. I've dropped the temperature down to about 160 now, and I want to cook it quite gently. And before I forget, I should tell you guys that I did grease this mold here as well. Just lightly grease with butter. You could always use a spray olive oil if you want. So basically we want to cook this until it's nice and brown on top. I'm going to show you a little trick halfway through, but till it starts to pull away from the edges as well. And this is me going to the oven. This has been cooking for about 5 minutes. And what I like to do at this stage is take a little more of this grated cheese and just pop it over the top. And that'll get really almost kind of burnt, but not burnt, just really brown and bubbly, like when you're making a toasted cheese sandwich. This will go back into the oven and we'll finish the cooking process until the edges are just pulling away and the middle's really kind of set to the touch. Once the frittata is firm to touch in the middle, it's ready to go. And I always like to serve that just with some really finely sliced prosciutto on the side. For more recipes like this, hit subscribe and I'll catch you guys next week.